Hello and welcome to the Sploder Show. We got a lot to get into today. Some really important news stories, an interview with Ravicale, a game review of Cycle by Ethgamma, and a really captivating final thought. So we got a lot to cover, so let's jump right into the news. So the arcade creator had some bugs in it, and GF was like, "Oh, that's arcade creator's not good enough. I'll fix it up." And what do you know? He does. Couple of these bugs were fixed. The sliding was not working on the enemies, so he changed it to where it could. There was a bunch of graphical issues. He fixed that as well. The barrier would not turn on during boss deaths. I don't really know what he meant by that. And OP squirt droplets. The squirt droplets were doing way too much damage, so he kind of numbed that down a little bit. So, thanks Gia for fixing it up, and now the arcade creator will be even better. Speaking of the arcade creator, it's getting a lot of hype today. Cave World has been announced, and we're seeing previews of it now, as well as parts from Forest World. I already said before that the original world looked really amazing. I loved it. So now I'm just really hyped to see what Cave World and Forest World can do. It's slowly turning into my new favorite creator over the PPG, just given all the options it has. It's crazy. There's also been some new soundtrack bits mentioned, and we'll just have to see how those sound. But I like the original tracks, and hopefully these are pretty good too, so can't complain there. The reviewer system. Now, you know how the whole thing got changed to where privates had to suggest, well, not privates, just everybody in general, had to suggest applications, and then a recruiter would have to look at them and then decide, all that is. So they're finally deciding, they're having a vote, as of now, to change it back to normal. I kind of like it because I already made a huge rant about the whole thing in one of the earlier Sploder shows, and it's really kind of tedious having to do this whole extra step, and I'm glad they're actually changing it back to normal. It's been really inactive, and not much has come from it. And more importantly, I didn't think anyone noticed that you could suggest these, but that's just me. Anyway, they're having a vote to change it back to normal. We'll keep you informed if any more updates happen, so stick around for that. EGD 7 has been announced. They got the thread up, and already, just like in the first few days, we got hundreds and hundreds of games flooding in. I mean, you thought last year's EGD was big. This thing just looks like a colossal, ginormous thing, event thing. I'm looking forward to it, and I guess you might be asking if I'm going to be in it or not. Well, you're just going to have to find out. Enough of that, anyway. And for our final announcement, I'm now part of the Sploder video crew. Yes, I sent in an applicant showing them some of my work, some of the earlier episodes of the Sploder Show, all that biz, and I'm now accepted into it, so yay. This unfortunately means that I am going to have to reboot the show for that channel anyway, but it's not a big deal considering my old series never really had a plot line going on. I mean, it's just news and stuff, so I don't really care. Anyway, I'm glad to be with the Sploder video crew, and hopefully can get a few things going from there. Now, before we move on, let's mention some ads that you guys suggested, so let's get into it. Tropical by Otrat is looking to be exciting. You can go ahead and check that out. And Chloride has a 15-level RPG. Jesus. You'd think how big that would be, but whatever. Anyway, go ahead and check those out, and yeah. That's all we have for news and ads. Coming up next is a game review of Cycle by Ethgamma and an interview with Ravicale and my final thought. So stick around. This is Math Aid 2, heading to the next segment. Hello, and welcome to my review of Cycle by Ethgamma. To start out, this is one of the best intros I've seen. I mean, you just got stuff exploding, flashing. It really grabs your attention. You even have panels falling down. It's definitely one of the best intros I've seen by far. Credit to where it's deserved. But let's move on to the actual gameplay. What do you actually do in this game? Well, you control this blue ball, as you're seeing now, and you want to try to avoid the small yellow balls. They do get bigger. And you also want to avoid falling into the holes. Your goal is to survive for a certain amount of seconds, and you can roll around and jump for controls. So, not much. So, while this sounds like a simple game mechanic, it's executed very well. I mean, this game's just addictive. Even if you lose and lose and lose, you constantly get better. There's improving. It's fun. It's challenging. It's unique. It's different. It's amazing. I love this game. But what else is there about it that I like? Well, I think this game's proof that graphics don't make up a game. Neither does a complex storyline. You don't need branching paths for your story, and you don't need high-resolution 3D graphics. This game proves that if you just get the gameplay down right, the most important part of any game, then it's going to be amazing. And I think that's said from the start, and this game executes on that idea very well. I was really impressed with this. The game does have bosses, as you're seeing now. These are orange twin snakes. Very original. I like the idea. And anything else that I thought about the game? Well, I felt there was a difficulty jump in level 3, as the first 2 levels seemed okay, but then when you got to level 3, it just it's crazy. But that aside, what is my final verdict for the game? I think a good 9 out of 10 is what it deserves. If it wasn't for that difficulty jump, it would have been a 10 out of 10. But regardless, I still love this game to death. It's still amazing. Give it a play if you haven't already. It's one of the most surprising PPG games, to say the least, as well as just interesting. So, here's my interview with Ravicale. I asked, what got you started in game making, and when did you notice getting better? He says, I just wanted to make a game. I didn't have much experience with computers at the time, but I was willing to mess around. I found Sploder and I just made games. The original Grand Quest was when I began to see what made a game good and when it was featured. From then on, I began on the road I led today. Then I asked, which Grand Quest game are you most proud of? He says, while the most recent Grand Quest is my best Sploder game thus far, that is published and complete at least, I have to say the original one made way back in 2009. The reasons for this are many, but they are surprisingly efficient with what I had and helped jumpstart my career on here, much like the 2011 Grand Quest revisioning did for my fame. Then I asked, what kind of people do you look up to? He says, on Sploder, not really anybody. I don't look down or up on anybody here, except for those who intentionally act like jerks. I view the greats as having strengths and weaknesses like I do, i.e., Callie is good at piecing together complex things, but his guidance to the player and such feels sketchy. You might think of it as Splody, but I just don't care much. IRL, some people I look up to include those of the likes of John Carmack, Bill Gates, Will Wright, and Ken Silverman. Then I said, who would you like to see in EGD this year? He says, as many people as possible. Variety is the spice of life, and competition encourages people to perform. I agree. Then I asked him, any new projects you working on? He says, obviously I'm working on Interest, a band, a platformer that encourages the player to play their way and replay the game many times. Gunman X, collab with Shad, hoping to bring that last bit of polish to the Gunman series that it needs. Roguebot, my attempt at a PPG plat, may not actually be completed. Outside of this, I plan to actually slowly move away from making games on Sploder. I'm going into developing using the Unity 3D game engine and compete with others in the Technology Student Association. My end goal is to place first at the national level. I already have one game under my belt. Also, I plan on posting downloads to games I make it on the forums for a foreseeable future. Then I asked, what's it like collabing with Shadross? You know how Shadross likes to make graphics? Well, I hate clicking through all the pages of them. It's pretty fun if a bit slow. And that's my interview with Ravicale. Sorry, I just asked a question about Shadross. Anyway, that was my interview with Ravicale. I hope you enjoyed it. He was great. Thank you for all the questions and everything. And coming up next is my captivating final thought, so stick around. And now, it's time for Matt Dane's final thought. This is the part of the show where I give you something to think about or something to do. Now, for my previous episodes, I usually don't... it's not very captivating as I wanted it to be. So this time I thought I would go all out and really get you inspired or thinking about something at the least. So, what I have here is my entire freaking life statement. You probably can't see it, but there's words on these and all that biz. Jeez. It's very philosophical, actually, if you read down to it, and I want you guys to hear it. Now, I know this might be boring or whatever, but it's a final thought. It should get you thinking, not all that. So, let's get down to it. What do we all strive for? To live long? To be successful? Or is it to be happy? Retaining to the last one, being happy is one of the hardest struggles that we all face. But yet, there is no definite answer to be happy. Think back to all those other goals for a second. Want to live long? Stay healthy and keep your own body in shape. Want to be successful? Work hard and achieve your goals and push through your obstacles. Want to be happy? Well, I don't seem to know an answer to that. Obviously, there are ways to look at it, and I'm sure you can give me simple-minded answers, but what does it truly mean to be happy? Often, when asked with any question, you have to look at the situation or problems retained to it. When I look for the problems that keep us all from being happy, I find we all do things, mainly society-driven, that keeps us from striving to be happy. We create problems for ourselves, or complain about everything, or simply mess with other people to feel okay from problems facing you. We all over-exaggerate or force other problems so that we can never achieve being happy. To me, what people don't realize is that you only live once, and somehow we tend to take our one life so seriously, always worried that something can happen, or not being satisfied with every little thing. Nobody ever takes time to look up at the sky or enjoy the little things that we all take advantage of. Everyone instead creates problems, whether we know it or not. But do you see anyone fixing them? Do you see people trying to get world peace, knowing that war is inevitable because humans will always fight? Why do we have to live over society's influence? Why do we all want to worry and fight and be stressed when everyone can be happy with themselves? Maybe because happiness is boring. Well, that could be it, but I'd rather be happy even if it accounts for boredom. I myself refuse to live with all this negativity that the world has set in front of me so graciously. I refuse to create problems or worry or stress over things when I know I don't have to. I refuse to be negative or to be a jerk simply because it's a trend that everyone else falls into. I realized this a long time ago, and I think some of my friends and family members realize this too. So I, Aiden Matthews, plan to live every second on this earth with one goal in mind: to be happy. And yeah, that's my life statement. If that sounded all like philosophical and long and drawn out, well, it was. I kind of wrote the whole thing, but whatever. But I seriously do mean when I say, we could all be a little happier, and we don't always have to create problems for ourselves. As long as we're content with ourselves, we should be fine. Don't overstress things or worry about anything. So, yeah. That's my final thought. I hope you thought about that, and I hope you enjoyed listening to it. And that's all for the Sploder Show today. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll get into some more stuff next time. This is Math Aid 2, signing out. Hey guys, this is Math Aid 2, and since I am part of the Sploder video crew, let me recommend you to their previous video of 7 Grant 2 doing what he does best, talking about the creators. And if you're from the future, you can click the next video where you'll see all sorts of new content. Anyway, this is Math Aid 2, signing out.